All right, this video is now going. What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing very, very well. Happy Tuesday, or whatever day and time it is for you right now. Welcome to episode number 30, I believe it is, or perhaps 31. I forget now, 30 or 31 of Azren's Journal. For those of you who are new to the segment, it's pretty straightforward. This is the segment on my channel where I talk about my personal language learning journey. And obviously the segment where I give you guys a whole bunch of different language learning tips. I want to make this a little bit of a shorter episode than usual because I'm ever so slightly short on time. It's about 5:06 p.m. right now. By the way, hello, language learning lover in the chat. Let's just dive right in. First of all, personal life update that I'm really happy about. I've been way more active. I talked about it, I believe, in the last episode, if I'm not mistaken. I've been way more active, and I've been on a daily basis doing some form of exercise, whether it be like a brisk walk for 45 minutes, whether it be stretching, whether it be, who knows, whether it be like sit-ups and push-ups and stuff in the house. Like, I've just been very consistent with it, and I'm feeling very good about that. So yay, go Azren. Very happy. Also, just working on some different things behind the scenes work-wise. So I don't think I've talked about this yet, but I'm doing a pretty heavy push towards, I'm basically just putting more energy towards building the local Calgary language nerds community. That's a big focus of mine right now. And so we're going to be kicking off some group classes starting in August, which is exciting, twice a week for French and Spanish learners. We're doing a barbecue. There's a barbecue being hosted this Saturday by a Calgary Language Nerds community member. Wow, that's a mouthful. So they're doing that this Saturday. There'll be a smaller event, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think another focus of mine right now is trying to drive down the cost of language learning for people in Calgary, so in my city. So, for example, a great example is the group classes that we're kicking off in August. Like, it's just the cheapest option that exists for classes, period. Like, I don't think you'll find anything remotely in the price range of the prices that we can offer for that. Like, it's basically free, especially considering I know me, right? Like, if there's people in that class that are gonna need extra help and such, like, I know me, and I know I'll take the time to answer their questions and stuff. So it's just really, really good. And I'm really, really excited about it. I think I'm lucky in the sense, both by the way I was raised and DNA, a little bit of both, that I'm cheap. I'm actually a very cheap person. So like I don't spend a crazy amount of money. It makes me happy to not spend money, which therefore means that I always keep my personal living costs very, very low, which then as a result means that when I operate stuff, when I create programs, when I do things, oftentimes, there's a lot that I'm doing for free or for very low cost because I don't necessarily need to charge for it. I don't need the money off it. It's actually why I don't really promote a crazy amount of stuff for my audience to buy, because I don't really need to rely on you super heavily. The random stuff that comes to me by osmosis every now and then is more than enough. So at least currently. So definitely something I'm focused on. Last personal update, then we're going to dive into the language learning stuff here. I'm starting to slowly inch my fingers into being involved in local community building in Calgary, not just around language learning. For some reason, that feels like a direction that I want to go in. I really explained it in depth in a brainstorm session that I did on my podcast. It would take a good 20 minutes to go into every detail now, so we're not going to do that, but I'll give you an abbreviated version. I've been feeling lately that it's a good time for me to start inching my fingers into doing some local community building in Calgary, not just around language learning, but trying to bring the city together and trying to do my part, doing little things, doing whatever I can to bring the city together around different things, whether it's, simply doing some different pub nights, stuff like that, whether it's me helping other people with whatever community initiatives they have. I don't really know exactly what that looks like, but it's a direction that I want to start slowly but surely going in. And so it's going to be something I'm predicting, I might be wrong, I might change my mind, but currently I think it's going to be something that you'll see me talk a little bit more about in the near future. I also see myself potentially being someone who brings people outside of Canada or outside of Calgary to Calgary, whether it's for tourist purposes, whether it's literally to be involved in programs that I, in some way, shape, or form, helped start up or helped establish or whatever it is. I think there's a chance that happens. And, I want to start exploring that a little bit. Who knows where it goes? You guys, if you followed me for a long time, you know that I talk about a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff I start working on actually falls flat on its face. But I think when I'm testing out a lot of things and trying things, there are things that work out really well, even better than I expected. And so this is another thing I'm trying. Okay, let's go into our main topic here. Hopefully we can do this in 5-6 minutes and I can wrap up. So what did I name this video? A 30-day cycle, something like that. Nevertheless, it doesn't matter. So recently I came across, I've stumbled across an extremely effective strategy or methodology or framework for language learning. It is based around a singular concept this concept that progress is addictive. Progress is addictive. And an underlying problem among many language learners, I would even argue the majority based on my personal experience, one of the underlying issues with how we study languages is the way that whatever strategy we use, we only notice incremental and small progress. We only notice our small steps forward. And essentially what ends up happening is we're making small, gradual steps forward over an extended period of time. And therefore, we actually don't always notice our progress because there's such small steps forward, there's such incremental steps forward over such a long period of time that our progress just simply gets lost in the span of time that we've been studying. And often it feels like we're spinning our wheels or we're not feeling like we're making crazy progress. And as a result, maybe we feel a dip in motivation, a dip of energy. We don't really want to keep going. We want to spend our attention elsewhere. There's a lot of consequences because of this phenomenon. And so what occurred to me was a system around voice recordings. Okay, so stick with me here. I think what I want to challenge everybody to do, let's say you're a beginner, actually beginner, intermediate, not super relevant. I want you to take your phone every day, take your phone, and I want you to record a self-introduction. So day one, I want you to take your phone and record a self-introduction. It might be really short if you're a beginner. It might be like a 17-second thing because you just don't really know how to say a lot about yourself. If you're an intermediate, it might be a little bit longer. There might still be mistakes, but it'll probably be more in depth. And that's what I want you to do on day one. On day two, I want you to repeat the exact same task. Day three, repeat the exact same task. Day four, repeat the exact same task. I want you to repeat the exact same task once a day for 30 days. In between your recordings, so today's day one, I made my recording. There's going to be stuff that you tried to say or that you wanted to say that you didn't know how to say. Or maybe you said something that you're like, I don't know if I said that right. I want you to go do some research. Google, use private tutors, look in textbooks, reread your notes, ask your group class teacher, figure out the stuff that you wanted to say but didn't know how to say, or the stuff that you said that you weren't sure was correct. Figure it out and apply that into day two's recording. Day two, same thing. You're going to say stuff and you're like, I'm not really sure if I said that right. Or, I would have liked to have said blah, 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 but I don't know how to say it. Go do some research, incorporate that into day three. Do that every day. What's going to end up happening is by the time you get to day 30, you're going to be really good at introducing yourself. And you can compare, because you're recording this, right? You're going to compare your day 30 recording with your day 1 recording. You're going to listen to them side by side. Listen to day 1, listen to day 30. You're going to notice a really big difference. And that's going to feel really awesome. And you're going to be like, wow, holy cow, I learned a lot. I got so good at that. Now, month 2, what are you going to do? Month 2, you're going to do a similar thing, but you're going to pick a different topic. Not self-introductions. You're going to choose food or life in your city or technology or whatever the heck you actually want to choose. It doesn't actually matter. Something that you want to be able to talk about. Day 1, try and record something. Maybe it's about life in your city. Maybe it's really rough because you're like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff I don't know how to say. You're going to do that. You're going to do your research, figure out how to say the stuff that you don't know how to say, and incorporate the learning into day 2. And you're going to repeat the process for life in your city. Month 3, pick another topic. Month 4, pick another topic. Month 5, pick another topic. Rinse and repeat, and you're going to get very, very good at talking about things that, different topics. You're going to get really, really good at it. An additional thing I'll add in is this isn't a perfect system. There are flaws to the system. For example, this is a speaking heavy approach. So there's issues with maybe your listening comprehension. You're not doing stuff to practice listening, perhaps. So that's something to be mindful of. You'll still need to do stuff to practice your listening. If you care about reading and writing, there's probably some stuff missing there, and you'll have to do some stuff to practice your reading and writing. Pronunciation is something for you to be mindful of. Some of you might naturally notice your pronunciation is not good. Some of you might not. So it's important to get some outside feedback to make sure your pronunciation is on point and you're not doing anything silly. I think there's a lack of feedback in the system. You need to make sure you're getting feedback on the stuff you're saying to make sure it is correct. Otherwise, you might fall into bad habits. You're going to do the same activity every single day for 30 days on the same topic and say this wrong thing over and over and now have a bad habit drilled into your brain. So something to be mindful of as well. But ultimately, I do think it's an extremely effective strategy for people to be, to see some very, very big progress and really be able to notice the progress over a period of time. Funny story for you. This is where things get a little crazy. I stumbled across this by accident. So here's what happened. In Calgary, I went through a 2 or 3 month stint where I was doing drop-in classes for French and Spanish. And one thing I would have people do in the beginning was I'd have them introduce themselves. In the beginner class, sometimes they didn't know what to say because they had no background. So I would give them like a line. I would help them a little bit. They would say that in Spanish. We'd move on. Intermediate, they'd give longer introductions. We might talk about the weekend, what we did, blah, 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 blah. Deeper conversations, deeper self-introductions and whatnot. After it was 8 or 12 weeks, I don't remember. If we observe the beginner class, for example, by the time the 8 or 12 weeks were done, every single individual that attended regularly could actually talk about themselves reasonably fluently. And literally that's after focusing probably 3 minutes per person every single week for 8 to 12 weeks. So after 24 to 36 minutes, each person was able to actually introduce themselves very, very reasonably well with reasonable automaticness and not stumbling over the words. That's huge. That's huge. 24 to 36 minutes. That's very effective kind of studying. I think for the strategy to work, another thing that would make sense is when you're doing your audios, I think it makes sense for you to incorporate questions that you ask yourself that you're responding to in a way. I think that makes sense because in real life, people are going to ask you questions about what you said, follow-up questions. Why? How come? How did you start that? Why did you start that? Why do you feel that way? Blah, 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 blah. So incorporating those kinds of things so that you're training your mind to actually get the flow of real conversations, I think is a smart idea as well. Amira says, hi, Azren, I love what you do. Keep going, dude. Thank you. I appreciate it. Tessa says, hey, Tessa, back again on day 2. I appreciate it. Feedback is difficult sometimes. People are too encouraging. Otherwise, this sounds awesome. Yep, people are encouraging unless a couple things. If you're paying them as a private tutor or a teacher, you can demand honesty per se. That's an option. I think specific questions are a really good way to get honest feedback. So not, hey, what can I do better? Or hey, does this sound good? Too open, way too open. I would even tell you, yep, sounds good. Not that I'm encouraging, but I'd be like, yeah, it sounds good. But if you said, hey, did I say this word properly? Now they're going to say, now you've pinned them in a corner and they have to give you a more specific response, right? So, hey, did I say this word properly? They might say, oh yeah, it's okay. And like, oh, what part sounds okay? Like, does it sound like a native speaker? Oh, no. Oh, okay, what would it be? And make them use their ears to be like, what are they doing wrong? Or, hey, is this sentence correct? Is this sentence grammatically correct? Does this sentence sound awkward? How do I say this in blah? Like specific questions is the easiest way to get very good feedback, and nothing to do with, and it's not just an encouraging thing. They're giving you real feedback that you can like take action on. So anything else I want to share? I think that's it. Let's wrap this up. I got to head out. It's 5:22. So I appreciate your attention. I hope this video was useful. I really think it's going to be useful for people. I would appreciate likes, comments. As a matter of fact, if it was useful, this is one time where I'd ask you to, whether you share the video or you share this concept with someone, I don't really care, but I think this concept, however you want to share it, right? Share the video, share the concept, you make your own blog post about it, you make your own video. I don't really care how you do it, but I think the concept of this concept is something that can be shared and I think can really make a difference for people. So actually more than the likes and the comments, that's what I really want, is if you can figure out some way to share this concept, whatever is natural for you and whatever you feel comfortable doing, I think I'd appreciate that. So again, thanks for watching. We'll talk later. Bye. Who does this for bye? High five.